when I think about the term least restrictive environment, I actually think it's a really misleading term, because I think it implies that what the biggest deprivation is for young people is a physical restriction or a loss of physical freedom. And in fact, if I were to rename it, I would be looking at placing young people in the most connected environment. Because I think about what Liz said earlier on the panel, and she was telling us all the things you could fix, right? You could fix that floor, you could add the horsey doggy door there. Well, I know from my own life and from getting to work with really thousands of youth, over the last 17 years, I know what you can't fix. And what you can't fix is you can't fix broken hearts, and you can't fix people feeling like they're less than human, and you can't fix loneliness. You can't heal those things, and those things literally destroy our young people. No amount of effective legal counsel or great lawyering or low caseloads or fancy interventions or wonderful services, no amount of those things can take those away. Where the magic in our system is, it's in parenting. And I just don't think we don't think about that. If we had a system that actually focused on the most connected environment, then we would view every single moment that young people are not being parented, when they're behind bars, when they're in prisons, and prisons come with bars and they come without bars. Probably every single one of you in your jurisdiction has a shelter or a group home that you walk into that is not a secure facility, but those young people are incarcerated. They are incarcerated by loneliness, they are incarcerated by level systems, they're incarcerated by labels. It's no different. That's a cage too for our young people. So I think every single moment, if we really had a focus on the most connected environment, we would see those situations as a crisis, as an emergency. We would not tolerate policies and practices in our system that allow things like placement of children in institutions, 30-day notices. Don't get me started on 7-day notices, 14-day notices, 30-day notices, things that take away every scrap of humanity from a young person. Do you know the message that we send to young people when we allow a caregiver to say 7 days, 14 days, and I want to get rid of them? We're telling them nothing is permanent. Everything is permanent. They are disposable. Their body, their soul doesn't matter. So all of those things, they'd be gone. And instead, we would have a system that really looked at our families as an intervention. And if our families truly are an intervention, you could imagine they're the intervention for everything, right? For mental health, for education, for employment, for transition to adulthood, for every single thing for young people. How would our legal advocacy be different? You'd be in those homes, talking to the caregivers. You'd be prioritizing ensuring that a child is getting parented. Our courtrooms would be different. There wouldn't be third-party representations talking to Judge Martin. You'd have families that are in there. We'd have foster parents and birth parents co-parenting together. They'd be working together to bring children back to the communities. So I just think that really at the end of the day, what would be different is that families would have an entirely different role in our system, and we'd have a system that was truly focused on what young people need. And the way that you would get there would be by letting the families and the young people themselves lead the way.